from the theme to the ambiance to, I'm sure, the collections. It's just so exciting to see how fashion has grown and really become such a central part of Gallatin.
I'm a painter originally, and I make animated films, so this was my first kind of foray into fashion. And just figuring out how to make patterns, I think, for the first time was such a wonderful challenge. And now I feel like I have a very good head on my shoulders in terms of making clothes in the future.
It's hard to make a full collection. I think just making sure everything looks cohesive and like accessorizing is also really important. It all came together and I'm excited.
Hand stitching everything takes 5 billion times longer than a machine, so I'm still actually working on it right now, but we're gonna push through.
I had a chance to see the looks for the first time on my models and explain how I wanted them to walk, interact with the sounds, and I kind of was like a sneak peek into seeing the vision fully come to life.
This is like my first collection. I didn't know how to sew before this. This is my final year. I just wanted to have no regrets, do everything possible, and Gallatin really allows me to do that.
When we talk a little bit about games and fashion, what comes to mind when you first thought about the theme?
There's so many ways I feel like you can approach the theme of games when you think about fashion. I think there's this idea of dressing up as a game, both in the physical world and also just the rise of obviously games and digital skins when it comes to video games. I always kind of go into my archive of historical runway shows.
No matter the inspiration, though, I can assure you that we are in for an incredible show tonight.
Good evening, everyone. It's just my enormous pleasure to welcome you to Games, the Gallatin Fashion Show. Truly one of the highlights of our academic year. Certainly one of the things I look forward to more than anything else that we do at Gallatin. So I hope you are ready tonight to see some bold silhouettes, some intricate details, some playful stylings, and to appreciate the work of our amazing student designers, our student models, as well as the production team that put together tonight's experience.
Let the games begin.
We need the iron! We need the iron! Oh, thanks for this tiny collection by MA Program Director Gwynneth Malin. Tonight, you're going to be seeing lots of life-size collections walk the runway, but don't miss out on this tiny one right here. Gwynneth taught themselves how to crochet during the beginning of the COVID-19 pandemic, and it brings them and all of us lots of joy.
I've been wanting to make a dog brand, and that's kind of my ultimate goal. And so I made this collection as a way to kind of test out designs. And so all of my models are just complementing the dog outfits. So they're all going to be walking out with stuffed animals. And then my actual dogs, Polly and Pocket, they will be part of the show as well. The concept behind the collection is that it's a dog competition, and each of these characters are dressing up their dogs for this like dog beauty show.
What inspired my collection is just my love for historical craft. We've almost forgotten that the past has games and play, and we usually look at it from a textbook, and I guess the thing I love about dress is that you see the human inside.
The inspiration for my collection primarily comes from my background in clinical psych. The study is called To Be Sane in Insane Places, and how the label schizophrenia can stick with you from place to place. And so that one is a straitjacket inspired piece with the entire essay written all over the dress.
I was very much inspired by identity and what identity means in a post-internet world, how the perception of self is warped or evolves through the internet.
I always try to design my pieces around the model themselves. After hours and hours and like sleepless nights of designing a garment, getting to put it on an actual person, this is what makes me continue to do my work.
When I was in 5th grade, I played Mancala at recess with my friends, and that kind of jump-started the whole ancient board game exploration. And then I love to incorporate other arts and historical fashion into it. So I combined 60s rock culture and party culture to create this unique, my own version of ancient board games.
When I first thought of the word games, I thought about all the arcade games that me and my father love to play. He's actually coming tonight, so the collection is really for him because he's always been pushing me to pursue fashion, which I've always loved.
When I was making this collection, I was super inspired by the ways words can be manipulated and played with, and I had a lot of fun playing with some tongue-in-cheek wordplay and incorporating a lot of little bits of poetry into my designs. It was truly like a labor of love. Everything I made is hand-painted and hand-stitched. From going from sketch to garment is a very laborious process, and it really made me appreciate the way our clothes are made and the way I can make clothes in the future.
Growing up, I used to play this game called Lotería, like this Mexican game, and I really wanted to combine that with New York City. I wanted it to be uniform, the collection, but it would be hard to make 4 outfits perfectly uniform, so I just had to embrace the imperfections in it.
My collection was inspired by the relationship of 4 girls. They were part of the team Fantastic Four from the Lower East Side. They were a double Dutch team. These 4 ladies were not sisters by blood, but because of their dedication to the sport, to each other, and to achieve and excel in double Dutch, something about it just really sparked my interest and intrigue, and so I decided to make a garment to represent themselves and also their relationship.
I was inspired by corporate America, specifically Wall Street, and the psychological mind games that are prevalent there, like fear-mongering, sabotage, and manipulation. This was my first collection ever doing menswear, so that was a new experience and it definitely had some learning curves. It was kind of the first collection I've had where I felt like each look stood on their own and not necessarily as a collective.
When we think about game, I also always think about win, but there's no winner actually in the life as such a game in the fashion. I think it's one of the most greatest Chinese novel named Hong Lou Meng, and also known as The Dream of Red Chamber, and also inspired me about this.
I visited the border of Tibet where I saw a lot of Tibetan temple, and that inspired me to handwrite Tibetan script on one of my pieces. There are a lot of playfulness between utility and how it looks and aesthetics, and I want to be playful around it for my collection.
My collection was inspired by Indian culture. In India, we have, during Independence Day, everyone plays with kites, which fits in with the theme of games. So I took the inspiration from that, from kite flying, and from the pride that comes with being Indian, especially when you leave India to come study abroad, which really makes you miss home. I kind of took from that and thought I would design an Indian collection.
The inspiration for the collection was RPGs, and I was really interested in the connection between the player and the character. The player is this omnipotent being, and the characters have a predestined existence. I think a highlight moment was definitely the fittings. I obviously love all the looks, but getting their reactions I think was really cool.
I've always loved 60s styles. So when working with the theme of games, it really made me think of what were the games that my parents played growing up and what themes have continued into today. The twister sheet hasn't changed at all. The game of life has changed a lot. I was kind of drawing from 60s trends and also the board games that were around in the 60s when my parents were growing up and the games that they loved to play.
I would love to thank all of our designers, everyone that created the collections. I mean, they were phenomenal. I hope you all enjoyed them as much as I did.